All right, here we go. Can you pray to an intermediary? Let's find out. We had, after the session that we did on prayer a few weeks ago, somebody asked about that. Can we pray to an intermediary? Maybe I can say the word. Would you, should you, could you? Yes, of course you can. What I was referring to in that session, when you're praying, because, okay, here's what we're going to kind of go over through this evening. The inhabitants, the categories of beings in spirit realm. And of course, it's impossible for us to understand, have any idea of what all they are. And there are going to be all kinds of beings beyond this conversation, but we're going to start a conversation about it. What I understand and what we get from them, from the ones that I talk to. And so we're going to explore that. But the short answer is yes, you can pray to an intermediary. Uh-oh. There you are. Hello. I lost myself. You can pray to an intermediary. And so your purpose in doing that would be, maybe you're asking for, some intercession on your behalf. However, when you're praying, your goal, your intention would be that you are praying to the creator, the one and only creator, God, Allah, many, many names that we can call this being by, because we're incapable of really, there's not a word that encompasses what that being is, right? So there are lots of words and terms and understandings of who creator is in our own minute little way. However, we can understand the concept that there is a being that exists that started the universe, that is the creator of all the universe, that is in every particle, every fiber, every breath, every gust of wind, every blade of grass, that being is everywhere and everything. You don't even have to give that being a name, but you have an understanding that they exist. So your intention, you want to have your intention be that you're praying to that being, even if you're going through an intermediary, but that the goal is that it reaches that being. Reason being, because there are so many other, like what we would call maybe demigods, semi-gods, imposter gods, that, if you're not clear, or if you, let's face it, there are people on this planet anyways, I don't know about others, we could ask, of course, who pray to somebody else. And if you're of that bent, of course, I'm not going to tell you not. Well, I'd like to tell you not to do it, but that's your choice, right? So obviously, it's always going to be your choice. However, if you are in the light and you are wanting to stay in the light and you are praying into the light, your intention would be that you are reaching out for the highest being, whatever path it takes to get there. And again, because creator is everywhere, there's an awareness. There is an awareness of that you're praying, whether you say it out loud, whether it's in your mind. There was a conversation recently about if a prayer is worded, a revealed prayer, and by a revealed prayer I mean that some higher being gave us this prayer as a gift from Creator for us to use. Christ did it. Muhammad did it. It's we all know what I'm talking about with revealed prayers, as opposed to a prayer that just comes out of your mouth. No, not everybody knows. Okay, well, you have a basic understanding now. So a revealed prayer, if the revealed prayer was given with using he, Baal, could you change it to, if you wanted to say that prayer for a female? In some faiths, you would never change the revealed word if the word was given that way. So there was this conversation about, well, I want to be clear to Creator that I am saying this prayer, but for a woman or a girl or whatever. And I said, well, your intention is that even though the words you are saying is saying male, your intention is that it is for somebody who happens to be female. God isn't going to be confused about that. It's not like he doesn't know. So it's okay. And so when you're praying to an intermediary, where you're praying, whatever your intention is, Creator knows. So that's what matters. What's in your heart and your intention, Creator knows. And if you pray to a lesser being, like that's the one that is going to make the changes, that is going to answer your prayer, that would be rather, there's a word. There's a specific word for that, and I can't think of it. It'll come to me later. Sacrilegious. That would be rather sacrilegious, right? Because there is one Creator God. There is so any being, any other being that you pray to was also created by the Creator. So why would you want to pray to the lesser one? If you are calling out for you want deeds done, that's a whole nother story. And that can get into what would be dark magic. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to do that. Just stay away from that. I would never open that door, because you're on an uphill battle then.
So Karen.
So if you're asking somebody to I don't know, find something for you or do something for you, you still want to be connected to the higher one. Go ahead.
So that begs the question, why spiritual intermediaries? Why? What's the purpose then? Just pray to Creator, pray to God every time.
Right. However, if they're like any ascended master, Christ. Okay, so Christ, most people are familiar with who that is. And so you're praying to Christ, you're asking him for assistance and guidance, but yet you still have to have an understanding that he still goes to his Creator. He is not the Creator, but he does have a lot of power and influence. So you would ask for his assistance, right? But again, you would have an understanding. And so why you would do that? Because it can feel more personal. It can feel more, there's much less of a gap between you and Christ than there is between you and Creator, right? And so maybe it feels a little more comforting, a little more, because this being that we don't understand at all can feel a little overwhelming, a little daunting. Like, how can I talk to this being that knows everything, that created everything, that knows where every blade of grass is and which way it's blowing and knows everything? That feels a little like not only mind-blowing, but how do you connect to that, right? So you want to do that, but we can also see that sometimes it feels a little more perhaps comforting to pray to an intermediary. All I'm saying is that you want to have that understanding that is not creator. As long as you have that understanding that is not creator, then you're okay. And here's the thing, and all of this is because there are so many beings out there, types of beings. So let's talk about that a little bit. When somebody is an earthly being that you know, and they drop their bones, they walk on, they leave this life, they cross that first veil and become spirit bound, then that's a type of being that's a spiritual being. Someone who is what we call an angel. Now, sometimes people say, oh, my granddaughter is my angel, she's in heaven and she's my angel. That's a term that we use, but that's a little different from what are like angels typically like that you see like in old churches, like the statues and things. Those are beings that have been around for a while, have a certain type of energy that allows them to be termed what we call angels. And then archangels, of course, are even like more expanded from that they have the knowledge and the wisdom and the spiritual growth that they're stronger. And then, beyond that, of course, then we have ascended masters, and we have all kinds of, in different religions, there are different, like we call Nephilim, and there are all different words that we use, but that doesn't mean that we really understand what they are. I don't understand what they are. I just know that they're an energy, and when I am doing the work and I am interacting with them, and there's, for whatever reason, they're showing themselves to me in the work, right? They show themselves of different height, and that's how they are conveying to me their spiritual power. They don't ever present themselves to me as this taller one is better than this shorter one. But it's a way for me to see the strength and the power and the spirituality of those beings relative to each other, and then what they're saying and what's going on in the work as it applies to who I'm working with. Then that gives me some understanding, and I see it as concentric, right? That each kind of level encompasses the layer within itself, and it's all one. Not better, it's just an expansion. Just like if you're in first grade or if you're in seventh grade. Seventh grade isn't better than first grade, but seventh grade encompasses all that you learned in sixth grade and fifth grade and fourth grade and third grade. So it's not a better thing, it's an expansion. However, because there are light forces, there are also dark forces. And so if you're kind of just casting about and you're interacting with somebody and you see them and you're excited about it, like, how cool is that? I use my divination rods, or I use my pendulum, or I ask the tree to give me a message. I mean, there are 100,000 ways that you can get messages. You want to be sure of who you're talking to. And so if you start praying to somebody that you don't know who it is, then this is where the caution is. As long as you have that intention of you're wanting to pray to the highest creator, then you're giving yourself safety if you're interacting with somebody that may or may not be playing with you, and they will play with you. They will play with you. I know for myself, I've had that experience. Not in a while, but I got put through some tests and some tough lessons, and I'm glad I did, because I have an understanding now. And I know of other people, things that have happened to other people that I know somebody that she started using a Ouija board and clearly wasn't doing it safely, and is now in an institution, and she's considered schizophrenic or something because she hears voices. Well, yeah, she hears voices. She opened up that door and wasn't discretionary about it. So by intermediary, you want an intermediary that is intermediating between you and creator and having that intention. I keep saying that intention. If that is your intention in the back of your mind, your intention is the highest creator, then no matter who you're speaking to, if it's not somebody who's that way, then creator still knows that you're really speaking to him. And that one will get tired of you because they can't play with you. If you're always anchored in wanting to work with the highest creator.
So you've mentioned like the messengers of God as intermediaries, like Jesus, Allah, Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Moses. Who else? Krishna. Then you've mentioned angels and archangels. Are saints intermediaries? Are relatives who have passed intermediaries?
Yes. And the thing about the relatives, that's always a fun one, because the relatives, right? So the way I do it, like if it's a relative, I'll be like, Oma, my Oma, my mother's mother, Omi, I really could use some help with whatever it is, with just say a car. I'm just making that up, but I probably wouldn't ask Omi for help with the car, but say I need help with the car. And I'd be like, okay, Omi, I really need help with the car. But I know that you really know nothing about cars. But could you go find somebody that knows about cars and like ask them to help me? So I'm using her as the intermediary, right? I'm asking her to help me with something that I know that she doesn't have the power to do, but she could find somebody who does. I could ask her to help with my spiritual growth, or whatever I'm praying for, and ask her to say prayers for me as well. Omi, I'm saying I'm struggling with this issue. Would you help me? And would you say prayers for me too? And you got some buddies, you can ask them to say prayers for me too. That'd be great. You can be as casual as you want with Omi, but you do you. And so family is fun, but and while they have more power and more access to spiritual realms than we do, because we're in this body still, because they crossed, and then the second veil, of course, is that they've let go of earthly. They're not earthbound anymore, because just because you drop your first bag of bones, when you drop that first veil, across that first veil, you can be an earthbound spirit. And if you're an earthbound spirit, you can get some powers over time, but not really the good stuff. You have to cross the second one. And then you have access to all kinds of things. And so, so our family members, ask them for help. Ask them to help you. And again, if it's not in their realm, ask them to find somebody who knows. And here's the thing, just because they're now a spiritual being doesn't mean that automatically they are some archangel type of thing. It depends on their growth. Like, where were they spiritually when they left here? And what work have they done since they've left here? Who were they before they came here? There are a lot of variables. We can't just assume automatically, well, they're there, and so they're way out here, and that concentric thing. You don't know where they are in that concentric circle thing. And I just had a thought and lost it.
So you answered the question, like why humans might be more comfortable praying to an intermediary, but why did God create intermediaries? I still have the question, why don't I just pray to God? Why should I even be praying to intermediaries? Sounds like there's a lot of room to mess up in
You
that
can
area.
mess up, right? But again, if your intention is, yeah, I mean, I pray. It's what for myself. It's when I'm struggling that I ask for extra help. I want more people like on my praying team, right? Because I'm thinking, oh, it's just me saying these prayers. They're saying that they're like, because we're standing by waiting. We are standing by waiting to help you. So call on us. So yeah, you're getting assistance. But again, all I'm just trying to give that piece of safety is that just remember to that, you know, because you're asking for help, but just you're still that you have that ultimate creator in mind and not some other being.
So we hear this term guides a lot. Can you talk about guides? What are guides? How do they fit into this whole idea?
Okay. So again, so yeah, there's another. So in the spirit realm, we're all. Most of the universe is spirit realm, right? I mean, we think of it as, oh, there's some spirits, but you know, we're like 7 billion people. But 7 billion is nothing when you're talking about infinity. It's nothing. So there are infinitely more spirits, and each of us, when we you know, decide to come here and have this experience or any other experience, because again, you live for infinity. So you know, next time you might be going, who knows what other place you're going to go to. But we're talking about this experience here that we're having on Earth. So you decide to come here at this time, and you have beings who are like with you, helping you, nudging you, trying to keep you on track of the path that you laid out for yourself for this journey. You know, kind of helping you if you're about to fall off a cliff. You know, they'll nudge you, unless it's the best thing for you to fall off the cliff. Then they're going to help you fall off the cliff. But if you're not supposed to fall off the cliff, then they're going to nudge you away from the edge of the cliff. And that's their role. And to the degree that you reach out and connect to them and talk to them, and you might not notice anything at first, but just talk to them. Hey, you know, like say you had a green light. Thank you. And you're saying thank you to Creator, but you can include in that your guides or whoever is helping you. Start showing appreciation and start asking, you know, hey, can you help me with this? Help me with that? The more that you converse with them, the more it expands their kind of permission and their ability to help you. And you may start hearing them, maybe not in words, maybe you'll notice little things here and there. You have to develop the relationship. If you don't open the door, you're going to have a hard time having that relationship. And I mean, they can try, but if you're not open, we know, you know how it is. We're all humans. We all exist. We know how it is. You try to talk to somebody and they don't want to hear it. You know, you can talk to your blue in the face, but they don't want to hear you. They just don't want to hear you. And a lot of us don't want to hear it. We don't believe it to be true, or we're afraid, or somebody has told us that it's not appropriate, or whatever. And you have to make that call for yourself. You did mention saints. I just remember that a saint, what we call a saint, is somebody who was a human being here. Say Wendi. Wendi has done wonderful things in her life. And when she passes, somebody starts a petition to, I don't, are Catholics the only ones that have saints? I don't know if other ones have saints or not. I think they probably do. Well, whatever the process is, somebody starts the process of wanting to canonize Wendi. And it takes a certain amount of time. There has to be proven miracles. There has to be this, there has to be that. They have whatever their criteria is. And either she gets to be a saint or not. Now notice, remember, in the meantime, Wendi's gone and really couldn't give a crap. I mean, what does she care? So you guys call her a saint. So what? She doesn't care. But ultimately, it wasn't Creator that did all this. We humans, infallible humans, set up some criteria and said, if this person fulfills all this criteria, and somebody does the process, and then somebody stamps it as, yep, that's a saint, it's not infallible. It's still, we don't know, because do we really know what's in Wendi's heart? Say she did all kinds of wonderful things and it was a facade. And then we stamped her as a saint and she really wasn't. So a saint, yeah, I mean, you could, of course, you can pray to saints. I just am pointing out that they may or may not be as worthy of veneration as we say they are. And then there's beings like Bruno Gröning. He was a healer, very, very powerful healer, and that's a whole story that I don't have time to say. But he was forced to quit doing the work, and he said, if I can't do it anymore, I'm going to die, and he did die. And his organs, everything was all burned up inside. When they did the autopsy, they were like, "Whoa!" But he said that would happen. And when he knew he wasn't going to, because he was very much, that was his passion, was to help people. And so he's like, well, you can call on me at any time and I will help you. And there are so many stories of Bruno Gröning coming and helping people. One of which, there was a wildfire in Australia and they're evacuating people. And this woman was like, no, I'm not leaving her flat. And maybe she had 5, it wasn't like a huge ranch, but maybe she had a couple acres, whatever she had, but she didn't want to leave. And she had photos of Bruno Gröning, and so she put them on her fence line around her property. And everything around her burned, but not her property. And Bruno Gröning said that he would help, and he did. And again, there are many stories. Look him up. He's really a fascinating man. So there are, there are beings that just not only have the capacity, but they have the desire. I mean, they want to help us. And he was a very spiritual man. So again, you're going through Bruno Gröning with the intention that you want Creator's permission. Nothing happens without his permission, but that doesn't mean that bad things can't happen with his permission. I think that's probably something that we get a little confused about sometimes. Just because he allowed it doesn't mean it was a good thing. Maybe it was just you need to learn a lesson thing. I forgot my water. Oh, well.
I find it to not be very clear, because when you're saying, open yourself up and be trusting and try to find a relationship with your guides, guardian angels, the concourse on high for being guided in your life, but yet you have to be careful, right? And okay, well, don't pray to a saint because you don't know if that person was really a saint, but this person is. That's a lot of gray area. That's a lot of discernment.
But that's what I'm saying. Your fallback, your security, your guarantee is that you have the intention of it being through Creator. As long as you have that, then you're okay.
Right. And I come back.
You don't have to figure out, was that a real saint or not a real saint? Is that a being of the light or not? You don't have to figure that out, because you have that threshold, that intention, that foundation of it being through the light and creator, an ultimate creator, not, yeah. What am I, Wendy, you want to, maybe you can say it in better words.
It makes sense, but just for my personal way, the way I think, I'm going straight to creator then,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bypass all the potholes, that exist and go straight to creator. Self, yeah.
And that's,
I
Go
think
ahead.
that's a good idea, but I think there's people out there that are uncomfortable going straight to creator because I don't know about in your church, but when I was growing up in my church, we weren't allowed to. It was just like the priest can talk to God and you can say your prayers, but nobody ever said, but it was always kind of like the most important things had to go through the Father in the church, So I would think that is why some people might not want to go directly there. And honestly, I, for one, something that I've been working towards is having that relationship, having a conscious relationship with my guides. So I don't want to bypass that. I think that's an important relationship. So I wouldn't want to bypass them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I start my prayer, I start it with, I'm calling on the highest of love and light, the highest, all that is holy, all that is divine. Mm-hmm. So there's that intention right there, right in the beginning of anything that I do, I start with that sentence.
Beautiful.
Does that help, Shelly?
Yeah. And then, like we have, there are faiths that have multiple gods. And, that's how they do it, how they see it. I see that as multiple faces of the creator God. But if you're seeing it as different gods, then, and how do you would have to, you'd have to just, as long as you're doing love and light, then highest, just get highest in there somewhere, that that's your intention, that you're reaching for the highest. You're saying the highest love and light is beautiful. Love and light is certainly aspects of creator. There's so much of creator. I mean, there are infinite ways to term that being. So saying the highest love and light is beautiful. It's a perfect way to do it. Saying creator, saying whatever you want to say. That understanding. Calling on the most generous, the most loving, the most, anything. Go ahead. I don't hear you.
I said all of the above.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So, okay. Angels, ancestors. We talked about ancestors. So all the handful of types of beings that we discussed. Okay. Then now, of course, we have beings that come from other planets. We like to call them, aliens, but they are still our brothers and sisters. They are still created by the same one creator. And some of them are, don't really need a spaceship. They just show up. So that's somebody in spirit. They might, show a body. I had somebody that used to come to me quite a bit. His work with me is done. He's not with me anymore, but I truly needed him and loved him. And I called him Spiff. I don't know if you know Calvin and Hobbes, but Spaceman Spiff. So I called him Spiff. So the first time I saw him, he was, I'm walking down my driveway, taking the garbage out. I'm walking back down my driveway, and there's this fly, like big fly, just kind of like flying along beside me as I'm walking down the driveway. And flies are kind of like erratic, how they kind of zzz, 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 zzz. But he's just like just keeping pace with me down the driveway. And he's bigger than an average fly. And I'm like, what? And my mind went to, oh, it must be one of those like spy flies, the government, and who knows, probably anybody can get one of those flies. But then must have been some kind of spy fly. And then I'm thinking, why would anybody send a spy fly on me? Like I'm doing nothing. Like what? That doesn't make any sense. And the material that he was made out of, it was like black, but it had all the colors in it. And black has no colors in it, right? But this had all the colors in the black, and it had a certain sheen to it. I've never seen that material outside of this next time. So that happened. Okay. So then maybe a couple of weeks later, I drop off one of my kids he was taking lifeguard classes. I drop him off at his class. I'm coming back into the country, and I have to go over this culvert, and I see this. My brain tells me a bird, but really it was too rigid. It didn't flap its wings, but it came up the left side of the culvert, went over, and back down the other side. And I'm like, my brain's going, okay, how do we process that one? It's a bird. But it wasn't a bird. But what could it be? However, the thing that really, I know, it was the same fabric, the same material as that fly. So I'm like, how they're the same. They're the same. It's the same stuff, made of the same stuff. Both something, but yet not that something. And then sometime later, maybe another week, whatever, I'm in my bedroom, and there's a being sitting on the chair. And I'm like, no, this is an energetic being. I'm seeing the white. And turns out that was him. The fly and the bird were him. And so anyway, so I call him Spiff. And at some point, so we visited regularly, or he came to visit regularly, and he was around a lot. Helped me with what I was doing a lot of really heavy. There was some really heavy work that I was helping people with, deep traumas and things, and he would help me with that. And then I was like, hey, that was like super cool when you showed up as a fly and as a bird. Why haven't you done that anymore? And he's like, because it's really hard to do. And I'm like, okay, then don't do it anymore. I'm so honored that you went through all that trouble to do it for me, but yeah, don't do it anymore. I just thought it was cool. So like, if you want to do it, you can do it. But when he said it was hard to do, I'm like, well, then don't. I don't want you to struggle for me. I'm thrilled that you did do it. And then eventually, I was able to do those. I didn't need him so much for that work, and I had my guys and everybody else, and he moved on to wherever his next assignment was or whatever. So, but I do look forward to seeing him again when I leave this world, if I don't see him before. So that's a spiritual being. He did manifest physically, or at least my brain thought he was physical. I didn't actually touch him. And that's just one of, again, infinite types of beings. There are so many. So we just kind of have to be okay with not really having a handle on it. What was his name? Was it Thomas More, maybe? Or Beckett? One of them came up with 7 or 12 or something levels of spiritual beings. And I'm not going to argue with him. He has definitions of them, and what determines what level they are. But that is by no means an exhaustive list. I mean, that's just a drop in the bucket. But it is something that we can kind of understand. So we try, right? We have this thing, like we wanna know. But when we're talking about infinity, you just gotta be okay with that. You don't know. You can't know. You just can't. So you just gotta be okay with it. Shelly.
What role do they play in our growth and healing?
Well, a lot. And to the degree that you allow them, even more. So, yeah. I mean, if you're cooperating with your teacher, you're going to get a lot further than if you're ignoring them, right? Somebody's along trying to help you and you ignore them. You're going to get something out of it, but not as much as if you actually worked with them, did the assignments, did the homework, did the growth and the understanding, and were humble. Like, we have a thing of like, I could do it myself. No, you can't. Have a little humility and be like, hey, you're going to give me some help. I really appreciate any help you can give me. I really do. And I had a being show up in my side yard here some years ago. And I'm like, and he's standing out there and I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I'm here to help you with the next oomph. And I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. Because at that moment I was really kind of stuck, feeling stagnant and whatever. And he's like, yeah, I know this is gonna take a while. So you gotta get some skin in the game. Give them some help. They're trying to help you, and then we're all like, yeah, screw you. I can do it myself. Okay. Okay? Go ahead, have at it. And nobody's saying that it's a bad thing to do. I'm just suggesting that, if somebody offers you some help, you might want to take it. And then, you turn around and offer somebody else some help.
For those who are not aware of this concept, what would those nudges be like?
They could be anything. It's paying attention. You got to pay attention. Once the more, I always like to say this, the more you look, the more you'll see, the more you listen, the more you'll hear. It's simply a matter of opening up your mind to the possibility, being aware of the concept and going, okay, I accept that this could be, and start noticing. And once you notice one thing, you'll start noticing more and more and more and be paying attention. You just have to allow yourself to be open to it.
Are there any misconceptions that are so misleading that what would the divine realm or the concourse want us to know on this topic? Like, okay, y'all are kind of getting this wrong. Because there's so many faiths. Some say, yes, pray to intermediaries. Some say, no, absolutely not. Some say you can only come to God through humans. Some say you go directly to God, have a direct relationship with God. Are there any really important misconceptions that they would like us to know? That's wrong.
There are several things, and sometimes they talk too fast. A big important one is knowing that you are responsible for your growth, for your spiritual journey. Don't put it off on somebody else. Don't be like, well, I went to church on Sunday and I listened to the pastor, and it's not the pastor's job to do your spiritual growth for you. You have to do it. You have to do your own work. Don't give it to somebody else. Don't hand it off to somebody else. You're knocking on St. Peter's gate and he's going to be, be like, yeah, but I went to church on Sunday. Yeah, but did you do the work? No, I listened to him. Okay, well, no, it's your job. It's your job to change your heart, to change your mind, to change your understanding, to do your growth. Don't put it off on somebody else. That's one. I love the word wonder. And they just brought it in. I wonder. I feel like wonder. Walking around having an attitude of, I wonder what's going on here. I wonder what that meant. I wonder if this is the best thing for me. I wonder why that person did this or that, rather than jumping to conclusions or having a preset idea of what's going on. Have a position of wonder. Be open to the possibilities. I wonder if this could be true. I wonder if that could be true. I wonder if maybe my mom wasn't really right on target when she said blah blah blah, this rule or this, wonder. Have wonder and process things for yourself. Like, is this really what I think? Is that how I think? I wonder if when I had that experience with that person in third grade, did that taint my interactions with similar persons going forward? I wonder. And then they're like, and we're right here. Yes. So remember that they're right here. You're not by yourself. You are not ever. Just remember they're there. And some people have an issue about don't try and talk to spirits and blah blah. Okay. I understand that because again, there's risk involved. But again, if you are going for the highest, light and love, you're wanting light and love. I love that, Wendi. And you're asking your angels or your guides or whatever you want to call them for help. And they're, it's okay. You're not talking to beings that you shouldn't be, and that's that again, there's a risk. But don't do that.
All right. What's the most important thing we need to know on this topic of spiritual intermediaries?
That you are wonderful. That's kind of cool. You remember that you are wonderful and will be for eternity. And it's an ongoing journey. And you don't have to know the types of beings, and you don't have to know. There's so many things that you just don't have to know. You are full of wonder yourself. And you're exploring and you're learning and you're growing. You're wonderful. I like that one. They come up with some real doozies sometimes. Okay, so we're done. We're going to do our healing session. And we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button before we do that. Because you're wonderful. And we're wonderful. Get comfortable. Allow. Stay in it as long as you like. Come back to the video anytime you like. Maybe you don't even need the video to come back to it. You can come back to it on your own. But if you want to come back to the video, fast forward to the end and experience it again. Any of the videos. It's all still there. I'm going to say a prayer. And you get relaxed. And even if I hang up, when I hang up, you can stay on. You stay in it as long as you like. Image yourself floating in wonder. Let the waves, the energies of wonder gently rock you to and fro, there and back, and up and down. There you go.